Welcome to the Fiscal Physical Podcast. Join us each week as we sit down with the founder of Alchemy Wealth Management and author of Your Fiscal Physical, Ryan Nelson. Tune in to gain valuable insights and practical tips as we simplify complex financial concepts into digestible lessons. From budgeting to retirement planning, this podcast is your go-to resource for mastering financial literacy.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Fiscal Physical Podcast. My name is Aaron. I am here with Ryan Nelson, founder of Alchemy Wealth Management, my good pal, and one of the people I get to spend some time with and to record some podcast episodes. So I appreciate you joining me today, Ryan. What's the good word? How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How's your dog?
Oh, she's doing well. We got 2 dogs now. Did you know that?
I did not know you had 2 dogs. This is new information.
Yeah, but
I'm learning about this for the first time here, to be honest.
Yeah, they're both doing great. We got so Nova's the dog you're familiar with.
I am familiar.
She's doing great, and then Katie works for the fire department, and so she got a facility dog. So he's like 18-month.
Oh wow!
Yellow lab named Lambo.
Lambo, nice. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Good for you. Well, that turned into more of just our regular banter there. That's awesome. You dropped some new knowledge on me there for sure. I'll have to meet this little Lambo.
Oh yeah.
Maybe give me girl or guy.
Boy.
He'll have to do a little leaping.
Oh yeah.
There.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a good leaper.
He's a good leaper.
He's a good Lambo leaper.
That's good. So awesome. Well, that was fun there for sure. So we'll go ahead and wrap this one up here. No, but appreciate you everybody joining us today. Today we're gonna, if you've checked out by the titles, we're getting the title of this episode, "The History of Credit Cards: How Plastic Reshaped American Money." Definitely going to be diving in here about like what a credit card is, what the U.S. spends on them, and all these different kind of things here. So it's I know for myself, Ryan, I get you turn on a show, you turn on whatever you're listening to something, and it gives you get an ad for a credit card. You get an email that has a credit card. It's like, oh, this is a 0 APR for blah 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 or whatever. Or take advantage of this, whatever it is. Like it really has that. It's prompting you to sign up for these different credit cards. And so my question is, I was like, where did credit cards come from? How did they kind of quote unquote take over? Mm-hmm. And I guess, are they helping or hurting us in your opinion there? Kind of a few different pieced question.
Yeah. So I didn't actually know where credit cards came from, but in doing research for this, so apparently the initial use case, so to speak, for a credit card was I guess in New York in the 50s, and they created these diners clubs. Mm-hmm. So at these restaurants, you could be a part of the diners club, and then you could go in and order a meal and basically pay for it later. So you would you would owe on that. You'd be part of this club, and it would let you to go in and eat and whatever, and you could square up the bill later. And that was like credit, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, 1950s doesn't even sound right for that. That can't be right. Anyways, but so apparently that's how it started, is through these like diners clubs in New York, which I had zero idea about. So kind of interesting. And then, and so supposedly some dude went in there, a regular at a restaurant, at least like as the legend goes, this like guy walks in, orders something, forgot his wallet. And so the restaurant owner's like, we got you, come back, you can pay later. And then that started this diners club and morphed now into credit cards. So
nice.
I literally had zero idea, but supposedly that's where this idea came from, and I guess makes sort of sense. Kind of interesting, because you got to imagine that this concept have existed for, I would think, thousands of years of like you doing something, me trusting you, mm-hmm. and saying, I'll get you back later.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that like concept has to be much older, of like this debt, even if it's not quite so formulaic or like specifically agreed to. That idea of like, I have a little extra now, like, let me borrow some of what you have, I'll pay you back with whatever.
Yeah, that
food
seems like
something.
A pretty like archaic old concept there. But that's interesting that like that's like someone's like, you know what? Let's make some money off of this.
Exactly. Exactly. So apparently Bank of America started this process, and they turned into Visa, and now here we are, all of us in America going into debt on these credit cards.
Yeah, well, that's a good way to segue into our next point of how they actually work, I suppose. Like how do credit cards actually work? I can't remember if we've done an episode on debt previously. I think on like paying off credit card debt and debt snowball and these different ways of trying what kind of debt to avoid when it comes to that. So I'm curious about how they actually work and like where do maybe most people go wrong with the credit card?
Yeah, so credit cards, one thing I know we've brought this up a few times in the past, but like credit card is what we call an unsecured debt.
Right.
So remember, when you go get debt on your house, if you don't pay your mortgage, remember the bank can take your house from you. If you don't pay your car payment, whoever has that loan can come take your car, right? If you put sushi, the example I keep using is if you put sushi on your credit card and you don't pay that, the credit card company can't come get that sushi back, right? And so the reality is this is what we call an unsecured debt. So it is a higher interest rate. So that's one thing to pay attention to. Like if you're comparing your credit card interest rate to your mortgage or your car payment, almost always your credit card interest is going to be higher. That is why it's unsecured. It's a bigger risk for the bank or the financial institution lending it to you. But so effectively how they work is you come to this agreement with the credit card company ahead of time, and they sort of go through this evaluation process of determining how trustworthy you are and how much credit they want to lend to you. So maybe they're willing to give you $3,000 or $30,000, and that's going to be based on primarily your credit score and income. So if your credit score is 850 and you make $1 million a year, they probably don't mind lending you $50,000. If you earn $20,000 a year and your credit score is in the 400s, they're probably not so eager to lend you $50,000 because it's going to be hard for you to it's going to be hard for you to pay that back, and your track record shows that you don't typically pay it back, right? Whereas in the other example, somebody making $1 million a year, it'd be easy for them to pay it back, and their track record shows that they do pay it back, right? So you come to this agreement with a credit card company. They say, we'll give you this amount of credit. Then you can go spend it freely. You can go to virtually any store or restaurant or anything nowadays will take credit card, right? So you can go spend it very freely, and then you're just responsible for paying back that credit card company. If you don't pay them back, you're going to owe some interest, right? And we had an episode 73 where we talked about APR and interest rates. So you can reference back to that if you want, but you're going to owe these companies some amount of interest. Typically, because it's unsecured debt, it's going to be over 20% interest. So that's really where the real trap can lie.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you think about like, hey, cool, I'll give you, like for easy math, like if you pay monthly interest on something like that and you're like, hey, I spent $100 and they're like, cool, like 120 now. I think that math's right. Yeah. When it comes if you have like a 20% interest. And some of them, like I remember after we did that episode, I went back, I think I have three credit cards. Yeah, I have 3 credit cards. And I looked and one's like 27% interest on it. And I was just like, holy smokes. And thankfully I don't keep like debt. I really try to maximize like the idea of like that what people paint a credit card as. Like I use it. I'm like, this is like a tool for me that I'm like, cool. Like every year, like I take like the rewards that I get or whatever and buy like a flight somewhere or something like that. So if you use it like right, I think that they're a good benefit there. But I look at that and I'm like, man, like if I had like, $50,000 on this or something like that, like how that'd be just impossible to like get out from just the interest itself too. So
I probably have a conversation probably like once a month around credit cards and credit card rewards.
Oh, fun.
And a lot of times, people will say like, oh, you almost justify their credit card use with their rewards. So they'll say like, oh yeah, I got a free flight this year or whatever. So it's totally worth it. And it is true if you're paying off your credit card every month and you've paid 0 interest. But like you said, if your credit card is 27%, you can see how even if you just paid interest for a couple of months, it's like, you might not see that exactly. You're not writing a bill to the credit card company. It's just compounding onto that amount you already owe. So you might have, spent $10,000 on your credit card, pay $2,000 off, but instead of it dropping to $8,000, it only dropped to $8,400 because you owed interest or something, right? And then but you see your credit card steadily declining. So you're like, I'm paying it off, I'm making progress on it, and I got this free trip. It must be worth it. I'm gaming the system. But it's like, hey, these interest rates are pretty high. If you're carrying a balance over month to month more than once or twice a year, you're probably paying a lot more in interest than you're actually getting back in rewards. And that's how these companies that's one of the ways these companies stay profitable. So in your case, assuming you're paying it off every single month and just taking advantage of the rewards, like you said, you're using the tool excellently, right? Just know that don't try to, listeners may not want to justify that behavior. Like the core is like, you don't want to be carrying a balance over on your credit card because the interest rate is so high. That'd be the first and primary principle. Don't be carrying a balance over, and almost never will the credit card rewards justify carrying a balance.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's that piece of it of like, when people go to like a casino or something like that too. I always make the joke, like, I'm like, oh, well, this is the reason that casinos are bright and shiny, and they like everything continues to like it moves along, is because people who are going in there, most of them are not walking out like winning money. A lot of these places don't just give away free money.
Right.
And now you can kind of equate it to the credit card companies. There's like a lot of times you go to you fly into a big city or something like that, and one of the tallest buildings is like a Chase company or a Visa building or something like that, and you're like, there's a reason you guys are doing okay with this here too. So
they're doing just fine.
They're doing just fine there. But I guess, as you know, one of the things we talk about on this is, as it depends on where you're at in your retirement portfolio or life itself. But like for somebody who's, I guess, nearing retirement or in different stages, I guess what advice or what advice would you give them about credit cards? Is there anything that you'd, as maybe you're a 63-year-old person, maybe approaching retirement, like, how do you view that, I suppose?
Yeah. So retirements can be, and you alluded to it earlier, a really nice tool. So I'm not anti-credit card. I use credit cards. I use credit cards for almost every single transaction I make, right? But it should be used responsibly. So my advice for using credit cards near retirement would be, obviously there's rewards there. Collect those rewards. The other positives around them are you get fraud protection. So if you go find some transaction on your credit card and you're like, hey, this wasn't me, oftentimes that experience is actually pretty easy. You call the credit card company. It's actually, most people are surprised by how easy it is to get that charge reversed and off of their issue, and the credit card company deals with it from there, which is really nice. And that fraud protection doesn't always exist inside of a debit card or inside of like your checking account. It can be a lot harder to get money out or get money back if money's spent fraudulently out of your checking account or savings account. It also helps build your credit score, right? So there's a lot of positives of credit cards. So I'm a firm believer. I personally use credit cards again, but back to your question, how should you use them? So there's a lot of positives. How should you use them? You should pay them off every single month, carry zero balance, and never pay a penny of interest to the credit card company. It's like, really is that simple. So what that means is you can't put more on that credit card than you have in that checking or savings account that you're ready to pay off, right? If you only have $5,000 saved and you go spend $7,000, it's going to be impossible for you to pay that off. Therefore, you're going to be forced to carry a balance. You should have waited another month, saved up a little bit more, then made that $6,000 or $7,000 transaction when at all possible, right? There's emergencies that come up, and right, it's not always that possible. But if it is, being strategic, thinking ahead, spending within your means, paying off your credit card every single month, carrying zero balance and paying $0 in interest is like the way to use. I'd say that's the way to use credit cards efficiently.
Nope, that makes sense for sure. And I think it's what you hit on right there, as far as like, saving up to where you have the ability to pay it off, I think also works like twofold too, because sometimes I just want to impulse buy something.
Sure.
And I'm oh man, like there's this, $3,000, pergola that I want to buy, for example. And I'm like, oh, well, I have a big limit on my credit card. I could just put it on there and then we'll just pay it off from there. Versus like, you know what? Like if we just waited 2 months, maybe we still put it on the credit card, but then just pay that off right then and there too. So it also, like in 2 months when I have that money, have I rediscovered that maybe I don't need that pergola?
Exactly.
Like, for example, and it can kind of like prevent that like instant buy kind of mentality that like I'm guilty of myself. I want that. I want to buy that right now.
100%.
Like versus like taking the night even to sleep on something is like can sometimes bring clarity.
Yeah,
for
sure, 100%. So. And so I think you hit it on the head. And so I think one thing you said there, just to reword it a little differently, is like treat it as if you don't have any credit or you don't have any credit. Like you're not, these companies have not extended credit to you, and just treat your spending as if it was just your own savings and checking buying it. So you look and you say, regardless of the fact that this company is giving you $50,000 of credit, you look at your own spending and you say, I can't really afford a $3,000 pergola right now this month. Okay, wait a month, wait 2 months. Then buy the pergola, even though that credit card company extended you the credit. Almost just ignore the credit they're extending to you, and then when it does come time to make the purchase, might as well put it on the credit card, pay it off immediately, get the rewards, get the fraud protection. There's a lot of positives there, right? So still using the credit card, but almost envisioning like, or kind of having a mental note that like, I'm not going to ever use the credit itself.
Right. That's a good piece of it. Yeah. So I think that's awesome, Ryan. It's interesting to think about that. Like, maybe in the 1950s, somebody's like, hey, like, wait a minute here. Like, how do we I always think of that. I'm like, man, I want to be sitting at a diner one day and like come up with some idea like that, for example. Like, I think that would be, what hasn't been done yet, I suppose. That's what I kind of always think. But.
And I did verify that date. It is the 1950s. And yeah, like the first credit card, 1958. So seeing that in multiple sources. So kind of that modern diners club started in 1950 and 1958. So God, it doesn't feel that long ago, 70 years ago.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, 70 years ago somebody came up with this idea, and it's kind of snowballed into like what it is now. So awesome, Ryan. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for breaking this down for the listeners out there. Just, make sure you guys are smart with those credit cards there, without a doubt. And everybody, hang tight with us. We'll be right back on the other side of this, do some personal stuff.
Perfect.
And now, to put the personal in personal finance.
Thanks so much for hanging tight with us, everybody. We're back on the other side of the physical with the personal section here. We are on, a little bit of if you look back on our previous section here with the spending piece of it with the credit card, I figured I'd segue that right into the personal side here. So, Ryan, I got a question for you. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So if you had to live 1 month, it could be longer, but 1 month is a good horizon, I think, here, on a very tight budget, what would be the hardest thing for you to cut? So to paint that picture, you're like, all right, 1 month here, I need to really tighten up my budget here. What would be the hardest thing for you not to spend on?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the actual answer is like something like food or something, right?
Sure,
or like electricity, right?
I'm just going to keep all my lights off.
Yeah. So I think like, I think those are probably like the actual practical answers. But like in reality, things that are reasonable that I would cut. So Amazon, we mentioned like impulse buying and, I'm guilty of that like everybody else. And there's like too many Amazon packages showing up on my front door, right? And it shouldn't be hard to stop that. But yet we keep ordering off of Amazon, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I'd say that would be one that would probably be challenging, not to make a single purchase on Amazon for a month. And saying it out loud, that shouldn't be hard whatsoever. Right. It really shouldn't be an issue whatsoever. But I suspect I would find that challenging not to make a single purchase on Amazon for an entire month. Yeah. The other thing, it's really not. I don't think it would be hard, but I spend a surprising amount of money on vitamins. Mm-hmm. I take these different like supplements, fish oil, and who knows what else, ashwagandha, and
keeping the mind sharp.
Yeah, AG1, which is probably just. Ridiculously expensive greens powder, which is probably worse than like the cheap stuff, who knows. But I spend a surprising amount of money on like those vitamins and supplements, and in theory it'd be easy to cut out, but I tell myself that it's like good for my health and good for me, so I wouldn't want to cut it out. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah. What about you?
That was good. I mean, the Amazon piece of it for sure, like I could speak like for myself and my wife, like we get an Amazon package probably almost average one a day. Like it just kind of just like, this is crazy there for sure. I think for me though, I really do like to eat out. Yeah. Like I really enjoy that piece of it. We've touched on previous episodes of like, it's not that I like particularly like the food. Sometimes actually I generally enjoy like grilling up in my backyard. Probably I enjoy eating that food a little bit more. But there's something about just going to a restaurant and, sitting there and, having conversation and having somebody bring you your food. You don't have to cook it. Like, I think that would be it's always like a nice treat. Yeah. And so I think that that kind of piece of it would be a little bit harder than I'd like to admit. I'm sure I could do it. I'm saying it out loud, and I'm not 100% sure if I can do it or not. Like, I'd love to think that I could just do that, but it's a little bit more difficult than I think when I have like a budget sheet, and I'm like, man, that one about, eating out or entertainment or fun, like, I'm like, that thing just keeps on growing. But I'm also like, it's just like, a pizza here, a pizza there. Like, suddenly I'm like, Aaron, you've eaten 17 pizzas this month.
Oh, you did cut back.
I did. I really thank you for that. Yes. I cut that in half. I got a piece of it. So anyway, kind of fun stuff. It's always interesting to think about because you can go with well, it's funny you mentioned electricity. I remember like growing up, my parents were like, "Oh, turn the lights off," like these certain things, and I was like, "Okay." And then I remember when I moved out on my own and started paying my own electrical bill, and I was like, "This thing is dirt cheap." Like, at least at the time, I was like, "What were we saving?" Like with me, like turning off the bathroom light, kind of piece of what I save
5 cents a year.
I was like, would I save it cents? Like, what are we doing here? Which, no shame whatsoever if you're doing the right thing with that money you're saving. But I just remember being like, That seems like a weird one that we like really stuck to as a family. So
that's
kind of funny. So anyway, I wonder what everybody else has out there to say. Listeners, let us know. Let us know what you guys would be the hardest thing to cut out for you. And thank you, everyone, for checking us out here. Wherever you get your podcasts, we really appreciate the listens here. And check us out every Tuesday morning. These episodes will drop. And with that, Ryan, I think I am all talked out, and I'll leave it to you to play us out.
As always, stay the course.
Thank you for joining us for the Fiscal Physical Podcast. Until next time, happy listening. And as always, stay the course. If you have a question or topic suggestions, please email us at podcast@alchemywealth.com. If you enjoyed today's discussion, subscribe to the podcast to ensure you never miss an episode. And consider leaving us a rating and review on your favorite platform. This helps other listeners like you find the show. For more resources, you can visit Alchemy Wealth Management's website at www.alchemywealth.com or find your Fiscal Physical, the book, on Amazon. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention that personal finance is just that, personal. Please don't take anything we say as advice. The preceding content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It's not an offer or a solicitation, nor should it be construed or relied upon for tax, legal, or investment advice. It doesn't consider your personal financial situation or objectives and may not be suitable for you.